Hey, Venezuelan community, I bet the next time you or the Hispanic community on a whole goes to vote, y'all choose differently. ICE officials now admit that many Venezuelan deportees who were deported to El Salvador to that dreaded CCOT prison have no criminal records, but they call them terrorists anyways. Here's a quick read. Pay attention. So the Trump administration invoked the Wartime Alien Enemies Act over the weekend, allowing for the swift deportation of 300 Venezuelan migrants it accused of being gang members all the way over to a mega prison in El Salvador. Y'all seen the videos. We said it before. It was like an action movie. They're coming off the plane, getting their heads shaved, bent over at the waist, dressed in white shorts and a white t-shirt, getting hurried along by officers, surrounded by armed guards. It just looked crazy. Imagine all that. And they're admitting that majority of them had no criminal records. I'm seeing videos now in stories. One guy was a barber. Another one was, they're all, and they look completely different when they're dressed in regular civilian clothing with all their hair on their head. They look like the guy down the street on your block. Now the administration is admitting that many of these deportees were actually just on hold, had no criminal record in the US, but they're still defending their decisions to deport them anyways. So the administration conceded the fact in federal court documents, they have no criminal records, but they doubled down on their decision to deport them anyways, claiming that crossing the border unlawfully was enough reason, according to a new report that was just published in the Miami Herald. The lack of criminal record does not indicate that they pose a limited threat. In fact, based upon their association with Tren de Aragua, the lack of specific information about each specific individual actually highlights the risk that they pose. This is what Robert Serna, a top immigration and customs enforcement official, said in a sworn statement that was filed on Monday night to a U.S. district court in Washington, D.C. They just took everybody and said they're all from the same country. They're all associated with this gang, this dangerous gang. Got to get them up out of here. Serna added that the lack of information that the government has on the deported Venezuelans actually demonstrates that they are terrorists, with regards to whom we lack a complete file. In other words, stripping down some of them, looking at their tattoos, the tattoos look gang affiliated. The tattoos look like they're paying homage to the dangerous criminal organization gang that we fear. And the fact that we have no information about them, but they're here in our country, actually poses the real threat. However, neither Serna nor the federal government has publicly released any evidence regarding the criminal and or personal history of the guys that they have deported. So the officials went on to say that ICE carefully vetted the individuals through court records, through surveillance, law enforcement encounters, interviews, victim testimonies, criminal evidence members, financial transactions, computer checks, and confessions of membership. Serna also said that the agency relied on social media. You see how we've been telling y'all about social media for the longest? So there you are on social media, throwing up finger signs which look like gang signs, etc. They used all of that, and they stringed them together in their association. Photos of gang gestures and photos of tattoos to link people to these gangs. He said, U.S. authorities have linked some tattoos to Tren de Aragua on some of these guys, but experts say that the group does not have any specific tattoos that are tied to their affiliation. The deportations have been highly controversial setting up a judicial showdown with Judge James Boasberg, who gave a verbal order to block these deportations on Saturday, but saw the administration proceed with the deportations anyways. The standoff continues, with Boasberg seeking more information from the administration and Republicans slamming him for going against its wishes. A Republican representative has even introduced articles of impeachment against the judge, Boasberg. Serna's statement has also been called into question. As lawmakers, lawyers, and the deportees' family members argue for the innocence of many of those who were detained and deported. Now, the family of three men who appear to have been deported, they sat down with the Miami Herald in a recent interview and said that their relatives had no gang affiliation whatsoever. And two of them said that their relatives had never been charged with a crime in the U.S. or elsewhere ever. One has been previously accused by the U.S. government of ties to Tren de Agua, but his family says that's a lie, and they have no proof of it. He should not be imprisoned in El-Salvador, let alone in a dangerous prison like the one that the Mara Salvatruchas are held at, said his sister, the sister of Mervin Jose Diamarte Hernandez, one of the Venezuelan prisoners, referring to the international criminal organization with roots in El Salvador. There are many innocent people behind bars, and today, my brother has become one of them. We came to this country to work and to do things right, to support our families, to live peacefully, she said. And it's painful that they blame my brother and they portray him as a gang member and a member of the Tren de Aragua. I don't accept that bad reputation created around my brother at all. Similarly, President and CEO and co-founder of Immigration Defense Law Center, Lindsay Toxilowski, announced on social media that one of the firm's clients had actually been wrongfully detained by ICE under the act, alleging that his tattoos were gang-related. So they could snatch you up right now and just look at your tattoos and say, oh, that's gang-related and you have to go. Our client worked in the arts in Venezuela. He's an artist. He is also LGBTQ. His tattoos are benign, but ICE submitted photos of his tattoos as evidence that he is a member of the Tren de Aragua. This is what the head of the organization wrote in a reference to the gang which the Trump administration is seeking to crack down on. His attorney planned to present evidence that he is not, but never got the chance because our client never got his day in court. He just disappeared. And they're calling it disappeared because some of these guys were picked up by immigration authorities. They picked their shirts up. They looked at their sleeves. They tracked them through social media. They found them. They just determined that they are gang related. Therefore, under the Wartime Aliens Enemies Act, we can deport them. And before their day in court could happen, they were deemed members of a certain terrorist organization, even though many of them are saying they are not. They have never been. And the government has no record, not in their homeland or in the U.S., to prove that they have ever had any criminal activities that they got charged for, or they had ever been associated with this so-called terrorist organization. I think that's pretty safe to say. You know, if I can't find any proof of you anywhere, not in your home country or here, of ever committing any crimes and being charged with, or of ever being associated with or in a gang, then how do you come up with the name that I've given to you, right? A gang member, a terrorist organization member. And under the Alien Enemies Act, you have been deported. I'll say it before and I'll say it again. I'm sitting back and I'm watching people get what they vote for. That's that. I have no dog in this fight. Don't argue with me. Go argue with yourself. I'll catch you on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.